To this new edition of Broome Up Front. I'm your host, Dewey Pham. For those of you unaware, starting this spring semester, BCC will be enforcing a new rule on campus, which will ban the use of cigarettes, pipes, and basically anything that you could use to smoke with. The campus will be going completely smoke-free this upcoming month of January. Because smoking on campus can cause a negative impact on student studies, the college believes that it is the best course of action to pass this policy in order to help students complete their studies in a healthy environment. While this policy is being passed next year, the college does not pass it without sympathy or tolerance for the smokers, as they do understand the addictions of smoking can cause. The policy will not allow the use of smoking objects on campus, but students that smoke are at least permitted to smoke at the safety of their own vehicles in the parking lots. So, smokers are not completely deprived of smoking, but they do not have as much freedom to smoke whenever they please. As far as being a smoke-free college or university in general, BCC is not the first. There are other colleges and universities such as Illinois, New Jersey, Wisconsin, and others that have strived to eliminate secondhand smoking and make their campuses and dormitories a comfortable environment. But rather than hear me talking about it, let's look at it from both sides. We'll tackle this topic with two gentlemen sitting next to me. Over here we have Justin Newland, a non-smoking BC student, and here we have Sean, a student who has smoked in the past. So, when did you two first hear about BCC going smoke-free?
Well, I heard about it a couple months ago on BCC's official website about, BCC going green, which would mean eliminating, smoking. And then we really started plugging it and announcing for radio and TV class with Chris Whalen.
When did you first hear about the policy, Sean?
2 months ago.
And when you two first heard about this policy that BCC was going to implement, what were your first thoughts on it?
Well, I was like, maybe there are miracles because I'm straight edge, which means I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I never will. And so many people in my family smoke and they drink. I agree with it very much, but not wholeheartedly.
What about you, Sean? First reactions?
My first reaction was just that they didn't consider the idea to implement a designated smoking area.
Any last thoughts on this?
Well, I would agree with, a smoking area on campus because, I'm one of those people who believes in live and let live. Regardless of what smoking can lead to, they do have their right and their freedom.
Now, do you think it's really a right to smoke, or do you think it's more of a privilege?
Well, in regards to what actions people take, everybody has a different opinion on what, constitutes a right and what constitutes a privilege and what should be a right and what should be a privilege.
Well, those are some very interesting answers, gentlemen. We've only gotten started on this topic at hand, but for now, we'll take a short break to see what other BCC students think about the no smoking policy on BCC. When we come back, we will get into more detailed discussion about the smoke-free policy of BCC.
And we're talking about the non-smoking policy that's coming to BCC campus and what students think of it. Now, Sultani, you're a smoker?
Yes, I am.
So what would you think if BCC put this non-smoking policy into effect?
Well, I think there's many other ways to handle this. Instead of just saying you cannot smoke on campus, that's going to cause a lot of problems because not only the students smoke, but you have some faculty as well that has the habit, and not a lot of people have cars.
I'm Philip Wilson, and I'm here to speak about the whole non-smoking ban at BCC. So when it comes to this, are you Team Edward or Jacob? You for or against this whole non-smoking ban?
I'm completely for it. I think the smokers need to get off campus, completely off campus and smoke. It's disgusting. They shouldn't be smoking right outside the doors. There's students, there's faculty, there's health issues that taking response.
I think it's great. I really do, because I am a smoker myself and trying to stop the smoking habit, and it makes it very hard to be around people that are smoking constantly, to make that choice.
Okay, so from now on, if it does pass, well, when it does pass, where will you start smoking?
I will either be on a street corner or I will be in my car, probably on campus.
Okay, so either ways, you're going to be smoking.
I'm still going to smoke.
Hello and welcome back. Last time we gave our thoughts about the smoke-free policy of BCC, but now we'll focus more on important things and discuss the policies such as BCC's futures, the positives and negatives, and such. So let's get down to it. So gentlemen, what's your take on this policy?
Well, I definitely think that it is more good than bad. The pros outweigh the cons for people's health's sake, and that's where I stand on it.
What about you, Sean?
Like I said before, my only stipulation was just a designated smoking area.
Now, on the subject of the designated smoking area, what do you think is a reasonable distance for the smoking area to actually be safe for others that don't smoke?
Well, when I was in the Army, the regulation on an Army base is do not smoke within 50 feet of any building. And I think that that's a very reasonable.
That's interesting because right now the smoking policy is 25 feet, and it might help a little more if they increase the distance. But once this policy goes through, how do you think other students will react?
Well, I definitely think smokers will have a very negative reaction to it. I mean, they violate the rules right now. I mean, I've seen people smoking within an arm's length of buildings when the sign clearly says don't smoke within 25 feet.
Oh, yeah. And one of the things I know about smoking is that the nicotine in it is extremely addictive. And if they're just going to straight out ban it, one of the things that you have to consider is that people might go through nicotine withdrawal and students might be extremely irritated. Do you think that's going to be a problem once this policy goes through?
Well, I do think it will be a problem because the issue is with so many of these black and white decisions is that they never consider it from both sides and agree to a compromise. You know, I personally do agree with this decision. I do agree with the fact that, you know, the air will be healthier to breathe for people with asthma, certain forms of diabetes, but, you know, there should be a compromise.
And any final thoughts you want to take on this?
The pros outweigh the cons from my personal standpoint, but I can see from other people's points of view as well. Smokers.
And another thing is that I also noticed that not even students alone, but there are a lot of staff members that smoke too.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
How do you think like they'll react to that?
That I actually could not predict. I mean, I think that they will follow the rules, but I do think that some of them may have an issue with it.
Do you think like they'll just like stop in the middle of lectures like, I gotta take a smoke break?
That definitely is a possibility, but I can't confirm that 100%, like there's no guarantees.
Because I noticed like one thing is that just as many staff as students smoke as well. Well, unfortunately, folks, we've run out of time, but thank all of you for joining us in this edition of Broome Front. Hopefully this information has proven useful to you all. I'm your host, Dewey Pham. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.